have a great reputation locally and do what you can to give yourself cover online, and your odds go dramatically up of successfully bringing in more business and doing better financially.
Welcome to Sales Assassins, the podcast that unveils the lost art of word-of-mouth marketing for professionals just like you. We cover everything from building relationships and nurturing connections to overcoming the challenges of modern marketing. You'll learn how to stand out in a crowded market, charge confidently for your services, and create an army of people recommending you without hesitation. Now, let's dive in and make you deadly effective at sales. Welcome back to Sales Assassins, everybody. Episode 4 here. Joe, how's it going?
You going great, man? Great to see you again.
Absolutely. Having a blast here, creating this show and having these combos and on air, off air, everything is
you make it easy,
so
brother.
much fun.
So
yeah. I want to dig in today to this idea. This popped up, I think, just in a previous episode, maybe touched on it a little bit. But the way I approach media, content, all of that, how I help my clients, right? Create shows, create video content, all of that fun stuff. I do that in a way that goes hand in hand with what you teach folks on the pillar system, on the word of mouth, and really building that first. In that, instead of kind of a traditional approach to even podcasts, let's say, I teach my clients, especially coaches, consultants, these individuals, have these conversations like you teach folks to have in real life, build those relationships, do that on a show, bring them on a show, all these things to facilitate that, just to do everything we can to build that relationship. And that's the approach I lead with. But also what I wanted to dig into today was this idea of, okay, everything that they're learning from you on building these relationships and going and meeting people. Well, we're in 2024, right? What's the first thing people do if they have the little tiniest bit of interest in you? They're going to look you up. They're going to go.
You're going to get Googled.
Yeah. And so what's there? And that's another area that you can get purposeful with content, again, reputation, like we talked about in the last episode. What's showing up there. Are you teaching that? Are you learning that? Are you embracing that right now in a different way?
Yes, and yes. Hey, so here, I'll polarize it. So, I obviously I talk a lot about word of mouth. I'm building companies, running companies, everything. I mean, word of mouth is the most powerful form of marketing there is because it doesn't have cost of acquisition. It spreads on its own. I mean, there's so many benefits to it. Everyone aspires to it. Every brand wants it. It's where you want to culminate. I want word of mouth. However, there are different things that do work. And I've done them all, by the way. I've door knocked. I've ran seminar. We did, I think it's Bill Good Guerrilla Marketing or whatever back in the day where we sent 5,000 invitations out and did seminars every month. And I mean, I've done everything. And, you've heard me say it. I'll say it many times because I've seen it. Everything works and nothing works. If you do something consistently, it will work. If you do nothing, it won't work. That's law of the jungle. So with that being said, there is more of a need today for presence in a digital world. And even in pillars like the connection silo. So if you look at your pillars, your prospects, your connections, that's anyone I think I know, that could be people you're connected to. I mean, I've got 9,000 people on LinkedIn that I'm best friends with. Probably know 10 of them, but I've got LinkedIn and Facebook and all those things. And there's an economy called the creator economy. And most people in our program are not agencies or creators or whatever. So there's people that are trying to become famous. And so you have this huge landscape of the digital world. And when you're in what I consider a professional and, that has to make sales and marketing part of their business. So I have a professional skill that it's my hygiene. It's what I'm good at. And I have to do sales and marketing. There is a role for it. And there is a necessity for it. And I've, evolved my thinking around it in the last 12 months. I mean, it came from experience. When I was building the inner circle, all that was word of mouth. It was meaning I would get introduced to someone via a client or an influencer or what I teach. And most likely we'd see if there's a fit, and that person would pay us $50,000 to $100,000 to be in the inner circle or an immersion. And that's great. And there was no cost acquisition there, and super profitable and making a ton of money and great. However, like my last two that have come in, and they were word of mouth, it's something, and it came, there's a guy out in Utah that he said, well, I watched your podcast, but where are the other ones? I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, I ran a $120 million business. I built 4 businesses. I can make $1 million. Transplant me anywhere. I'll make $1 million. Like, just like, what? Why do I need a podcast? By the way, we're on a podcast.
Yeah.
So, but it kind of like, I'm like, and I told Lauren, I'm like, and he won't mind me saying his name. His name's Justin. I'm like, Justin asked me about our podcast on the website. I'm like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. But I was like, kind of like that moment of like, well, wait a minute. Not only do I have the credentials, the experience, and the word of mouth, but now people, and it's normal, people are starting to see like, what else is it that's proving that you're doing what you're doing? So that happened. And then we just onboarded someone, and he, in a positive way, says, I've watched all your, because I've done a handful since then, by the way, because I took action.
And you're talking about being a guest on other podcasts.
Yeah, not this, but this is going to be 10x that. So let's not worry about it. But he's like, oh, I watched everything. I loved it. You know, like he was telling me, he was giving me the feedback. I love your podcast. That helped me. So he got introduced to me. He's become a client. But in that interim, in that little time period, he went out and consumed everything we have. So it became glaring to me that, and these gentlemen are a little younger than me. And I just know that people are more conditioned now to check you socially versus your past or your track record. Now, I think they're both real important. So It's not like if you don't have it, nothing's going to work for you. And if you're younger in the game or whatever it is. However, I'm always talking about odds. Put the odds in your favor. Dress well. Like there's one, like people judge you on how you look. Control the controllables. Well, if I'm introduced to you or I've heard about you, my inclination is the first thing I'm going to do is Google you. Like when we talk about building out an intelligence system around our pillars, like knowing our clients and prospects, we call it gilfing. Google, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Like just Google someone and then go through that hierarchy. It'll tell you almost everything you need to know except what's really wrong with them, because they're not going to put that out there. Now on Google, if they got arrested or something, I might tell you, but in LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, it's going to be kind of a highlight reel, show that they're a person. But what it's doing to the person being introduced to you is it's authenticating that you're someone, that you actually exist. You're not an aberration any longer. And I think that's kind of strange to say that, like my online presence qualifies my existence. Think about what I'm saying there.
So a couple of aspects of this. One is it's not just that they need to see those and they better see this, or this, or they're going to say no to you. Part of it's checking it, are they real? Have they been around? Yeah, verification. But then also, like those two people you just talked about, they just want more. And so put yourself in the shoes of these folks and anyone you've just learned about, been introduced to, you want to consume as much as you can. Like we get in this phase. And so when you can give them the book, the podcast, of this, that, and just depending on how they want to consume things, oh, that's just great. Cause they want to binge. We're in that part, like they'll binge and then they may be gone and, for 2 years, but then it's back. But when you can give them that stuff to binge, you own a piece of their brain. Now you're in there, you've got some real estate. And then secondly, you can control. So, yes, there's the content creators out there. There's if you look at like just getting attention in general, this is the distinction that's a different approach. Yes, there's all the competition in the world for attention. But what you can do is be intentional with, oh, hey, you met this person. Hey, yeah, go check out my podcast. Go check out, a landing page that I've got that's got the shows I've done, the content, the ebook, whatever that is. Like that's where all of this is, not necessarily to go and create content and hope that you beat Red Bull.
It's not about you can't cash likes. Like you can't, but I think I look at it this way, and again, we're on a podcast, we're doing ads, we're doing all the amplifiers, as I call them, for assassins. However, we first built a foundation. Like, you can take it all away. We're banned on Facebook right now. We're banned. We can't run ads. Lauren is literally, as we speak, like, we're banned. I've had a problem on LinkedIn where they took everything. So, like, yeah, but I would frame it this way. And it kind of comes from my background 100 years ago when I was at Everett Jones. We used to have a picture of Ted Jones, the son of the founder that kind of springboarded the company. He had boxing gloves on, and he had door knocks and phone calls. So, he was saying, knock on the door, follow up with a phone call. And I think now it's do the pillars and have the overarching presence. And you don't have to be a video creator. It's just show you're alive in that spectrum.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be something that, like, if you don't have it, it doesn't work, or if you do have it, it does? No. I'm talking about odds of success. Have them both. Have the 1-2 punch. If we boxed and all I could do is jab, I'm in trouble because I'm not going to win unless I can outrun you. Like, I've got to have this. So it's like, think of it that way. And of course, it's an interesting phenomenon. And I see it even in our offerings. Like, we have a $10,000 offering and a $120,000 offering. Well, the person who says yes to the $10,000 offering is real concerned about the podcast. The person that is going to drop 120 has never even heard of a podcast.
Yeah.
So, like, somewhere in the middle there, it's like, what do they expect and what do they see? And that's probably tied to age and income a little bit more. But I'm telling you, even, like, if you look at Meta or Facebook's demographics, it's kind of the boomer platform, so to speak, versus Insta and all those. So I would recommend, and we actually talked about this the other day on call, is like, have a presence. A lot of your companies will give you something and you're thinking, this is generic or whatever. But it's like, if I went to look, you're there. If I, put yourself on the other side of that spectrum. If let's say I get introduced to you and I do a textro, because I love those, like a text introduction from I'll tell people textro us and I'll take it from there. You don't have to do anything, just make the textro. Well, if I do that and then you Google, Joe Blackburn, and you see, this dude's got this, like you said, he got videos on this. But even if I see he's on Facebook, he's on LinkedIn, he's alive. He's not an aberration at this point. Odds do what? They go up. Now, unless you're a jackass on social media, that can go down. So, right. The great Ted Jones would say, don't say or do anything that you don't want on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Kind of the same rules apply. Don't put something out online that you wouldn't want everybody to see. So, like, especially as you're growing in business, that stuff doesn't go away. But I think there's more value to that than I even gave credence to it, of just having a presence and some connections. And you don't have to, like, every time your kid does a somersault, throw it on Facebook. But if you want to share some things that, are pertinent or an update, and we have a process, especially if you're just getting started in pillars, we call it A-capping, where I'm grabbing some attention. Even for me, when I left Merrill, I didn't even have Facebook because we couldn't do anything on it. We were so restricted. But I opened a Facebook page and I had LinkedIn, and people I couldn't text, I direct message through that. And I let them know what I was doing. So an A-cap is I make an announcement, I start a conversation, and I'm getting your attention. And then I want to pivot if it's necessary to business, if it presents itself. You can use social media to leverage that as well. So there's a lot of usage to it that's not, not trying to be Joe Rogan, although we are trying to beat Joe Rogan on this podcast. So let's keep this baby moving. But that's you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to exist there more than in the beginning, more than anything, and we've got some people in our inner circle that have done some really impressive things with social media. They've harnessed it. And so you can see it evolve. But if you're thinking about this, like, hey, if I'm an assassin, I just at least want to be in existence there, because it ups my odds. It increases my odds, and it's a new way to connect. It's a new paradigm. I mean, as much as people want to, like, take a break from their phone and detox their dopamine and have their kids not watch social media, I have bad news. Odds are low. Not saying it can't be done. You're saying odds are low. I mean, I don't know what the latest statistics are, but people are touching their phones like, hundreds of times a day or whatever it is. So,
oh yeah,
I just, what we're in, and I'm working on a podcast and ads and a YouTube channel and all these things. And, it's a long game there. And if you're going to try to put your value on likes or clicks or one of those things, it is going to be a long game. You got to find people that like what you say. So,
yeah. And that's the piece. That's the differentiator too, is your mindset in the approach. It's not listening to everyone or just like, you got to have a YouTube channel. That's going to solve all your problems. No, like everything you do is to nurture and build right back to the beginning, to build that word of mouth, build your reputation, build that connection with another human being. You can have automated processes in all of this in service of getting in front of that person and having that conversation and having that connection. And I think that's a different way to think about it. And that's the beautiful thing about technology, social, and all of that to me, because it just helps facilitate more connections.
Well, I think it's great air cover. I mean, if you're in a tactical situation, you would want air cover, right? So why not have it? Like that's it's not going to be the thing, but it is one of the things. So in combination, I think it's really smart. And of course, I've got a handful of regrets. I wish we would have done it a little sooner. Lauren, God bless you when you see this, was on me a year ago to do more, and I Heisman'd it because I'm brilliant. And I just like hindsight's 2020, FYI. But in all reality, we should have gotten more active earlier. Sometimes it's not the best, it's first. And it's not always the best, it's best known. So like think that through for a second. But some people that are just first to something. And but my product may not be the best, but if I'm the best known, and that goes for word of mouth and digital. Like that's a two, so be best in both. Have a great reputation locally and do what you can to give yourself cover online, and your odds go dramatically up of successfully bringing in more business and doing better financially.
Absolutely. I think that's a good place to wrap. I think we've hammered it home. Awesome. Hopefully we've converted some folks who maybe were on the fence and okay, I guess I should be doing this.
I'll post once a week. Okay. All right, man. Great to see you.
Good to see you. We'll see you all next time. In a sea of endless digital noise, your ability to connect and generate authentic word of mouth is your deadliest weapon. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to break through to the next level, the principles we discuss here are your blueprint for success. It's all about being the most trusted and valued in your network. To maximize what you've learned today, visit joinsalesassassins.com to see how you can become a true sales assassin in your industry. Until next time, keep sharpening your skills, expanding your network, and remember, in the world of sales, the true assassins strike silently but effectively by doing what nobody sees coming, building genuine connections and powerful relationships. Stay deadly, stay authentic, and we'll see you on the next episode of Sales Assassins.
This show is powered by Media Leads. To get your next great podcast produced, go to MediaLeadsCo.com.